So we'll start with some committee updates, and then we will hear from Dr. Williams, some of our updates about support for IPE and how that's going to function. And then we'll have some time for discussions. Each committee has created some questions to try to work through today. So we'll go ahead and get started. The meeting is being recorded, and I will ask you guys to please use the microphones on the desk when you talk so that our people who are not in the room in person can hear. We don't have any breaks scheduled for our agenda, so please exit when you need to and return. Sarah is going to try to keep us on time. We do have the documents available on SharePoint, and we'll make sure that you guys all have access to those. And then today's purpose is really to review what we've been doing, what we've done successfully, and to discuss how we can enhance that and make use of it, not to create brand new programming. All right, Margaret. Say that again.
Did it change now?
Yeah, now y'all are up there.
Oh,
We
well,
can't see it.
I apologize to everyone that has to see me now. Good morning, everyone on Zoom land. Thank you for joining us. We'll get started here with a few updates about the office and some services available through the IEPA office. Sarah, do you want to try that video?
Sure.
It does have music playing, but it's hard to hear. This is the new IPE office. We invite you all to come over and spend time with us and use it. You and your students can have access Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 to the building. We also have classrooms, exam rooms, huddle rooms, and such that can be scheduled purposefully. There is also hotel office space that you can schedule. And so this is your space. Even though it was funded through the HRSA grant through the College of Medicine, it was purposefully intended to be the interdisciplinary team-based learning space on campus that met the core competency of the HRSA grant for interdisciplinary learning. So very pivotal for that grant. Now you're seeing our storage space. That was for our mobile outreach equipment. And so as you can see, there's quite a bit going on there in that space. We invite you over anytime. Just let me know when you're coming. Oh, my daughter gave herself credit there on that. But we wanted to share that with you. We actually just had the sign put up yesterday. It's not turned on yet. They're still putting the electricity into it, but it's all coming together rather nicely as your space. I know we asked a lot of you while we were renovating over the past year, what supplies, what equipment you needed for your professions, how to make this your space. So we have that all there. We need you to help us turn it on often for those different things. I don't know how the audiology equipment works, right? And so we invite now your students to come over. I know nutrition has spent some time over there. We have some medical students doing the optometry equipment. And so it's now up and ready for you all to come over. We have a whole cabinet full of OT supplies, right? We have all of these things now ready for you. We're located at 1600 North Phillips, which is just north of Public Health. If you go past the old Rogers building, I think it's now called Technology Center. We are there at 16th and Phillips with plenty of parking. That's nice. So lovely parking opportunities there. We have 2 small classrooms, team meeting spaces, 7 exam simulation rooms. So that's really nice. And then a lovely behavioral health room that can double as a lounge. It has couches and everything. So welcome you over there. Wanna Raina offices there occasionally, so we welcome y'all. Another resource through the office is the evaluation plan. We'll give you some updates here later on, but we did want to make you aware that today we will be displaying a lot of data. We won't have time to go through all of the data today. The intent isn't today for a data analysis meeting, but we want to make you aware that this data is available to you for your programs. And so the next slide, I believe, has the data request form. Oh, this is also a picture of the Power BI, but the data request form is where you can access this information. So if you have reports, accreditation reports, annual reports, or whatever it might be that you need information about your student participation in IPE activities, we can pull that for you. Now, with some of the changes that are occurring in the office, that'll be me and Sarah pulling it for you now. And so please do give us a little bit of time to pull that for you, but we will dive into all of that data. With the Power BI, though, Kat is actually working in the back of the room right now, trying to make sure she gets that as wrapped up as possible before she leaves. But this is something that we will try to have available 24/7 to you, where you can pull some of your own data. We'll have participant data in there. We'll have the JTOG results in there, and then we'll have some of the outcomes for community engagement and such, where you will have access. And so that will be information that lives on the web for you. Okay, moving on. We also want to remind you of the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning Toolkit. That is something we launched last year and want to make sure you know is available and can be shared with your new faculty. And then the next slide has our other toolkit that we produced this year. This was with OU Health, in collaboration with OU Health, as they launched their new leadership model. They are now doing dyad and triad leadership teams within the adult services. And as they launched that, they reached out to say, well, how do we do this interdisciplinary? What are the tricks of the trade for collaboration? And so we worked with folks across campus. Raina worked on it. We had College of Public Health. Jerry actually did some of the training sessions for them. And now this toolkit is available for the campus. Some classes I've heard are integrating it within their coursework as well to give to their students. It goes over things like SBAR and team steps and, just those common tools that we want new professionals to be aware of, because they will then see them in practice as they graduate. So this is now a toolkit available to the campus. Was that our last slide, Sarah? Oh, and then the JTOG. As a reminder that we do have the licensed evaluation instrument. This is in collaboration with Thomas Jefferson University as a national standardized evaluation tool to measure team performance and skills, so behavior and skills related to the IPEC competencies. So the questions are rated according to those competencies and give us outcomes of our team-based activities. This is the information that is available in that Power BI dashboard that you will all have access to very soon. If you would like to use this JTOG instrument for your activities that are not hosted through the office, we can give you full access to that. It's a simple request to me or Sarah, and we can set that up for you. So I want to remind you that that is available for the campus. And then I think this is the last slide. We also want to make you aware, a lot of you have heard me talk about this over the last year, that we will in the fall be launching the new cross-listed course, Interprofessional Leadership in Healthcare. This is a new course being offered to undergraduate students earning their first baccalaureate degree who have not previously met their core Area 5 belongingness course. This is something that most of our students that transfer here from Norman campus will have completed already with an alternate course to meet that core area while they were in Norman. But for those students who did not complete it while they were in Norman, or who might be transferring from another school and need to complete it as part of their first bachelor's degree, they will now have the option to take this course here. So we're super excited to be able to offer this to our students and to have a focus on interdisciplinary leadership. We have reached out to, I think, everybody in this room so far to collaborate on this course in one way or another. And so we hope to launch this in August. It will be an asynchronous course offered year-round to students. Our biggest component moving forward will be grading. There are 2 papers as a part of this course that will have to be graded. And so that is our biggest area for collaboration with our IPE leaders across campus. Okay, was that it, Sarah? Yes, okay. So the charge to the committees as we transition into our committee reports is to look at what our deliverables are. Did we meet our goals? Is what we're doing sustainable and inclusive of what we need to meet our accreditation requirements? So as Dr. Barbie mentioned, we're not here to create. This isn't a retreat to create new content. We're not going to be brainstorming new content, but really looking at what we've been doing. Is it working? Is it something we want to continue? Are there changes we need to make to that content for the upcoming year? I know Robin has a huge slide deck that we'll have to get through for all the curriculum items, but hopefully this will be a good report out day so that we can consider over the next year where we move forward. Okay. I believe we're moving into our first committee report, and is that Raina? I'm trying to remember. I should have brought my notes up with me. That is Raina.
Hello, everyone. Very glad to be here. I'm here on behalf of myself and Beth, who have been working with our student faculty committee. It's been a very interesting year for the student faculty committee, to say the least. What we have had is, over the last couple of years, some difficulty with participation, right? So it started out as a committee that was really chaired by Daniel Drabelli. Everybody remembers him. And there was a lot of overlap in roles between some of the Unity Clinic leadership, as well as the student faculty committee. But then the student faculty committee really became an independent arm, if you will. And with this committee, there has been, like, they elect members from each college, students from each college to represent that college. And then, you know, they work on projects throughout the year as determined by their chair. One of the deliverables that we have is the Unity Week. And this was really pulled off, I think, very well by our people yesterday. I mean, by our group last year. And so we used that model for this year. However, what we really struggled with was participation. And there's Sarah trying to keep up with me talking on the slides. And so I will go ahead. We did have a lot of really great successes. We had the Unity Week, which again, we had a student that was able to come in and help with the deliverables. I say by force of will. She made a lot of things in Unity Week happen. And it was great. And we had a ton of poster hall participants. And this throughout the years has been one of our more popular, well-attended items. And I think one of our events. And one of the most magical pieces, I think, of this was that last year, Samantha said, hey, let's make it like a mock poster hall. Let's make it low bar. So our students have a chance to practice, and our community really identified with that. And so we get a lot of submissions from many different places, and it is generally very much a success. And this year we had it right after our award ceremony. So then it was attended by a lot of faculty who came in and reviewed the poster halls and made it very convenient for me. Like, we put it all together. And it's just is very well received. If you'll go back, Sarah, to the slide, for the successes. The reproductive health symposium, I'm not as involved in much in that, but our students are, as well as the Bridges to Access program. So these are things that the students typically, because as my part in the faculty committee and best part is that we're mentors, right? We help facilitate things. So our students have done really well in reaching out to community partners. And they do, and the Reproductive Health Symposium and the Bridges to Access are two entities that really appreciate our students' involvement. And we've had great success with events over the last couple of years. And so now, Sarah, if you'll go back to that. Yeah. And then we had our appreciation awards, and we did these are fun for me. I just love getting to see our own community and see what we've done. I'm not connected to everything in those events, but we have, they're well attended. I love being able to see our students with their loved ones and their families and receiving those. And I think it's a really great time to connect across the spectrum of participants. And so if you'll go to the next slide. Yeah, and there's more information about the Reproductive Health Symposium. Yeah, and the Bridges to Access Community Fair. So for the next AY, what we have talked about, and the reason why I gave you some of that background about what's going on with what we do is we're looking at, we have the participation is waning. So Sarah and I at times, and Beth, feel like what we've been doing is corralling students. Like we've had to get more hands-on over the past couple of years. I feel like it's an issue of sustainability, right? We started out with students who were involved in everything. And then now as things have grown, they don't have a connection back to like what the clinic or what the committee does. So then we had new people who were like, what do we do? What are deliverables? And so then Beth and I like had to do some background work to like learn and help provide them with some of that background, because of why else would they know, right? Because they were elected by their college. And so there was this disconnect. And it has been growing. It's not like it's brand new. This is just kind of the result of what's been going on. But we have a lot of things that the committee has done in the past, like the interdisciplinary grand rounds, was something that the community and the students in this last year said was really great and they would love to continue. But the grand rounds require a little bit of work. So connecting to the speaker, tracking down the speaker, ensuring that the speaker can come. And that was really difficult for the students this last year to get going. There's the background for the council itself. They do collaborate with the Great Debate, like I said, and other grand rounds. And then, of course, I gave the background on the Unity Week poster hall, which is really successful. So if you'll go to the next slide, Sarah. Oh, but so our ask is, I commented very late last night that the questions, like the direction for the committee. Oh, it's at the end. Oh, okay. All right, so then I'll stop. I thought I was all together for some reason, but if you have any questions, because clearly that was incoherent, feel free to reach out.
All right, good morning. I am Robin White, and just first off, I'll say that I have a name on a slide, but it's Sarah and Margaret that do all the work. I guess our curriculum committee kind of is indirectly related to a lot of the things, but kind of the oversight for all of the other committees that are producing these deliverables out there. So we are here to not only create and coordinate, but to have these opportunities available on campus. And that takes a huge amount of work. in the different like subcommittees, such as the Unity clinic situation. That in itself is, to me, it looks like a monster of work. And then what our students and faculty are doing, et cetera. So I'm trying to hit the button. It's not working. So what we have is 2-year menu for competency-based learning. 2 years because we do have a breadth of programs on the campus from bachelor's, which they would only be here for 2 years, all the way up to, PhD. So at least we're kind of hitting the needs across the campus. So next. Yes, I know. I just have it. I'm here and I'm used to pushing the button. So here are subcommittees. As you can see, we have a lot of simulations. So there are, groups for each of those individual offerings. The clinical offerings, again, like I said, that just seems very daunting to me. I haven't been a part of that. It's exciting though to know that it's there. Guess I probably ought to put my glasses on. The intro stuff that students can do online and accomplish on their own, as well as the All Professions Day, which that's a very large, daunting task. I know for Sarah does so much, and Margaret has worked on that from the beginning, and we've seen it go from huge in person to I know double, maybe quadruple the number of students from when we first started. And the only way we could do it was online because just the physical space and logistics. So a lot of work there, but that at least gets their feet wet if that's the only thing that they're doing. So they're at least hearing about it. And as we've seen in a lot of feedback each year from All Professions Day, just getting to talk to people from different professions on the campus, they really enjoy that. And trying to foster that opportunity is really exciting to me. I mean, I like knowing what everybody else does. I don't know if that's nosiness or nerdiness or what, but the students like that too, even if they don't realize they like it. When they have it, they appreciate it. Next slide. So the intro course, this is the online course that students do at their own pace. This is kind of as far as the curriculum goes, the first step, depending on a student's program and what their requirements are for IPE activities, this is kind of where they can get started, kind of the minimum. So I try to get our students here in medical imaging to at least do that along with All Professions Day, so it's not like a foreign language. And then obviously those who go on and assist and do work in the clinic settings, they're putting it into practice. So next. All Professions Day, that's something that we try to get every student from all of our different campuses to participate in. That's why it is necessary for that to be online, because we are trying to involve everybody in hopes that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but our hopes are that this will get them started, get them speaking the language, and hopefully foster that desire to go out and get involved in the clinic or to do more interprofessional work when the opportunity arises for them. And I can't see all of those stats that are there. I'm not sure if I was supposed to go over that, but I know there is a lot of statistics available for participation in All Professions Day. The simulations, and I think the next few slides are over each different simulation. And if you haven't been a part of that, I challenged myself last year to try and do as many as I could do. I didn't get through all of them, but I did do the same thing. It's really nice to participate. You learn things, but it also allows you to speak to your students about the opportunities and, just say, hey, this is a good opportunity for you to learn. about this. So always the opportunity to have different perspectives. So the same fame is, and I can't remember what those acronyms stand for, but I know that we had standardized patients who are actually from the community of patients with disabilities, and it's so that they can advocate for themselves and their families can advocate for them, and being able to communicate with them and navigate and help them advocate for themselves. So really interesting perspective that I think any student on our campus could benefit from. Okay, next. I did not get to participate with this one, but this is the, that's a long acronym, all the letters, the big alphabet, but this is another simulation offering that we have available. And again, even though I haven't participated with this one yet myself, I would imagine students walking away from the experience would have a greater perspective of someone else's side of the table. And that is ultimately, I think, what with the simulations, our goal is to get the students thinking past their own experiences and try to relate to patients and their families from that different perspective. Okay, poverty simulation. Again, another one I haven't got to do myself, but I've heard about this one. And again, seeing the barriers that people who are in the midst of poverty, is healthcare going to be one of their priorities? Sometimes their priority is just making sure they have something to eat that day or somewhere to stay that's dry and warm, hopefully. Again, a lot of our students have never experienced that. We have some who may, but it gives them a different perspective and a different appreciation for, well, how do our patients make decisions and how do we better their outcomes, et cetera. Okay, breaking bad news. I did participate with this one. And regardless of your clinical setting or experience, even just in our personal lives, we all have an instance where we have to share news that is not optimal to the person who's sitting across from us. And so this is giving students a perspective on how do you come across when you do this with patients, and how can you do this in a compassionate and gentle way, but also give them the information that they need so that they can process. And a big thing that I learned from, wow, I just blinked out. Is it Kylie, excuse me. I learned by watching her facilitate and then was able to facilitate other activities with this. Sometimes silence is what patients need to process, and having the students learn that you don't have to just fill this space with talk the whole entire time. Sometimes patients do need that quiet and just let them have a moment, and they have to learn that during this simulation. So it's a very interesting one. Social determinants of health and health literacy. I think this is probably something all of our students on our campus should be getting introduced to. Again, different perspectives on where our patients are coming from with their health literacy. How do we make things understandable to them? What are the things that are going to impact their health care? Haven't got to participate in this one, but from reading and hearing people talk about this, I think this is definitely one that probably everybody on the campus could benefit from. All right, next, trauma simulation. I don't know how often this is happening. I got to fortunately be part of the pilot of this, which was really interesting. And definitely in a trauma situation, communication and teamwork is very, very important. So those are an essential, those IEPA, competencies are coming into play to make the simulation work. Okay. Weight bias. I did get to participate with this. And this, again, all of these simulations are giving students an opportunity to have a different perspective on a person's healthcare. And this is a patient who, has been dismissed, et cetera, because of their weight, the way they look. Often people have biases about patients who are overweight, that they're lazy and that they don't care about their health care. And so it's important for people to understand that. And so that comes across in the simulation. Also allowing the patient to have a voice when they've been in that perpetual state of being dismissed where nobody listens to them. So it was an interesting one. Again, probably something everyone on campus could benefit from. Okay. The Unity Clinic, again, I have not had a chance to participate with this, but I know that they do wonderful work and I admire it a great deal. This is our actual feet on the ground clinic situation for students, as well as underserved patients in the community. They do try to offer a situation for the students to work collaboratively, but also provide a situation for patients so that that collaboration between professionals is going to help them address more of their needs in one setting rather than being ping pong between provider to provider. And we have seen, as with recently, I watched the video from the Keys Clinic. We have a patient there that had multiple needs met because the team was there addressing her needs. And how many of us get sent from specialist to specialist and things fall through the cracks. And so I think ultimately my impression of IPE work, that's the goal, is meeting those needs that do fall through the cracks because of this disparate setting. Okay, next. So we have a Midtown clinic and it has changed to Crossings. I know that there's been name changes over the last year or two. But again, this is where we have, I would say, is it more internal medicine situation, probably primary care? Okay. And I think dental has become a part of this recently. They are also part of it. Okay. So please forgive my ignorance. I have to ask questions just to clarify, but exciting opportunities, something that hopefully we will be able to continue to see as part of curriculum and prosperity and an advantage to the community that this is serving. And next, is it Toe? Tao, okay. She has been a big part of beginning women's health offering with our clinic situation. And that has been identified as a big need. A lot of women will put off, especially if they are in poverty or in other situations where healthcare is not going to be a priority for them. They are going to put off their care. And unfortunately, breast cancer is a large worry for women, and cervical cancer, et cetera. So this has been an opportunity to serve women who might not make those appointments for several years. And if something comes up, then it may be too late. So this is exciting. All right. Our food pharmacy. I know I've been over to the building, and even when it was still across the street at the library, and seen all of the equipment that they've had for this to help people have a healthier kind of food and dietary lifestyle. I wanted to go shopping and get supplies because I love to cook, but it was very exciting to see that this is an opportunity for people to learn about cooking that is healthy and then have the supplies and the resources to make that happen in their own home. So next. I'm not sure. This is, again, more statistics about our programs in the Unity Clinic at Midtown. Oh, and this year, exciting here in our own building in the College of Allied Health. Dr. Barbie kind of leading the way in our KEYS pilot. And so we have, let's see if I can do this without looking. I know we have occupational therapy, nursing, social work, audiology, speech language pathology. Am I missing anybody? I got them all. Yay. So students and faculty from all of these disciplines working together with patients who have aphasia. Again, the patient I referenced earlier that we've seen a video of recently, and we were talking about earlier prior to the meeting starting, addressing sleep issues, pain issues, obviously the speech issues, et cetera. And this patient is such a success story. It's so exciting to see, just because the team was there listening and addressing all of her concerns, she's had really good outcomes, and that's our goal. So hoping to continue that and maybe build on that. Okay, so those are statistics with the KEYS Clinic. Again, probably we'll have to look at that and make it larger to see. Our outreach vehicle, which has been a collaboration with the College of Medicine, going out into the community and doing different health fairs and other community events, reaching a lot of people, involving a lot of students, whether it's health screenings, education on the mobile vehicle itself about different professions, kind of introduction to some STEM stuff, which is, as a former middle school teacher, very exciting, you know, to see kids on there getting excited about something that maybe they had never heard of before. And, oh, maybe I could do this. So really neat opportunities out in the community. Next. So here are our community partners. We know that in education, things don't happen just with the educators. It requires a lot of resources, not only financially, but, you know, space. I know we've had things at some of these different places, such as the First Americans Museum. There are health screenings that took place there, and other opportunities. So sometimes they're providing a venue, but they're also providing the audience and the patients and the people. And we're bringing our resources in to try and make some connections there. And next. So very exciting. In our recent graduating class of 2024, we had nearly 800 students that qualified for the IPE transcript notation and then the special cords that they get to wear. And I don't know about the rest of you, but graduation was interesting this year in looking at how many things the graduates end up with regalia wise. Like, I'm amazed you're able to hold your heads up with all that stuff around your neck. But that's exciting to them. And as I recently shared with faculty from our college, that transcript notation may be the difference for a student who's trying to get to a special job, or I just blinked. I need Jennifer Tetnowski to help me with my words. Residencies, there we go. Opportunities that they really want, and this is something that can maybe set them apart. So, and as I also told our faculty, the only way we will see IPE truly come to fruition in the future is with these students getting out there and doing that. So they have to get started somewhere. And, you know, if it means putting something special in their transcript or getting them a special cord to get involved on our campus, that's just the foundation for them, hopefully. And hopefully we can spur them on to do even more out there, and we see it grow in the future. Next. So our plans are to, I guess, kind of continue rowing the boat as is. We do have our subcommittees. We are trying to develop some synthesis activities for students. Clinic, there's always room for growth, and there always will be the challenge of maintaining and seeing where else we can go. And if IPE grows, then you need more clinic opportunities because there's only so many hours in a day, and we have a large campus and many needs to fill. So we just need greater opportunities. Trying to align our curriculum based on the needs from each college, as well as, campus as a whole and community. And then accreditation requirements are pretty critical. I know some of our colleges on campus, IPE is a very big component of their accreditation. And so that is something that we are trying to meet those needs. So, and next. Yay, I'm done. Thank you.
Well, curriculum committee does a whole lot. Holy smokes. All right. So we're going to go over the faculty development committee, some of our stuff, our charge, develop a formal faculty development program, ensure all faculty have education and training available in the 4 domains and the IPEC competencies, our deliverables, engage the campus community in such a way as to support delivery of IPE curricular activities. Go ahead and change slides. Okay, so we set some goals at the beginning of our fiscal year. We wanted to try to increase participation in IEPA in our association. We wanted to increase exposure and utilization of the Wisdom Family Seed Grant. We wanted to gather data from faculty and chairs about department IPE needs, and then maintain the FAS and increase utilization. Go ahead and change slides. All right, so we did have some successes. We did have get through another seed grant successfully. We did the certificate program had its 2nd year of the intro portion of the certificate, and then started its master's. And Christy's going to come up in a minute and talk a bit more about that. The FAST system is ongoing and adding people. We were able to get our awards done. There were Nexus presentations and then also submissions completed. And then we have 114 faculty and staff participants. Next slide. So I'm going to pause for a minute and let Christy talk about the educator certificate.
So yeah, I know it's being presented. Everything is kind of being presented with a very calm aspect, but we have done some really incredible work. Yes. Yay, all of you, thank all of you. So I just want to remind everybody of that we are awesome. Okay. So the interprofessional educator certificate, Jerry and I have been co-managing that as best we can, with Margaret handling all of the staffing requirements and scheduling and so forth. And we have had our first group that finished the mastery program. And we've gotten feedback, I think great feedback from both cohorts. The first one to finish the master's and the second one to finish the foundation certificate. So we're going to be making some changes there to meet some of the needs that were identified. The purpose of the certificate has really been to create a community on campus of faculty who know what the competencies are and who can participate and facilitate student participation in interprofessional education, and then also ultimately to be able to produce scholarship from those works. Next slide, Sarah. So we have had some successes. Again, we had at the award ceremony for Unity, we did get to give out certificates to our participants who completed the requirements. We did have a few participants who have finished their requirements since then that had one or two outstanding things, but it's been very successful. Next slide. Some of the changes that were recommended that we're looking at are having a 12-month instead of a 9-month certificate program. There was a comment about the difficulty of getting things done in the fall and spring semesters, with the possible ability of having more fluid time in the summer to be able to focus on this. We are also planning to increase our synchronous meetings and to offer office hours over in the OIDP building. And we think that that would be very helpful to our participants. And then we've talked about creating working groups within the certificate participants for helping them complete their projects. So making those connections with different professions during that time. And our goal is to revise the syllabi with these new changes and put it into our syllabus template and then submit that to the regents for approval as a formal certificate. Yay. Right. And I will turn it back over to Lisa.
Okay, so let's talk about seed grants. So the year before it seemed like we didn't have a whole lot of applications for seed grants. So we wanted to try to increase that. So we looked at possible reasons and we thought about exposure. Maybe people just weren't being exposed to it in a timely manner so that they could have access to it. So we started creating links that we could add onto our emails, and we all do a lot of emails. So that's a lot of exposure, and we did have a lot of clicks. We had 179 unique clicks and 325 total clicks, but it only generated one submission for the year. So that was not our problem, but at least we can check that off our list. We've looked at that. So now it's looking at utilization by college just since the inception of the grant. And we've got by far nursing and allied health have utilized it the most, but we do have some interesting ones. Graduate college, dentistry, pharmacy are pretty low on the list there. And so we would love to kind of dive into that and find out why. Talking to some of the committee members that have come from other colleges, it's interesting to hear reasons why they feel like they are not able to utilize it. And a lot of it is when it was offered, because everybody has differences in how their programs are designed and when things are happening. And so that made a lot of sense to me, that maybe it's just not being offered in a time that they can utilize it. So, oh yeah, and then we have a list of Sea Grant collaborations. And this was also really interesting to look at who's collaborating together. Nursing is just everywhere. Thank you, our nursing department. So go ahead and switch slides for me. Next slide. So what we decided to do was Peggy Wisdom was involved in this as well. And it was really great to hear her insight. And so to change it to 2 grant cycles a year, and we're hoping to capture a little bit more from nursing, a little bit more for some of the other colleges that have a little different curriculum setup than some of us. And then we're going to continue to gather data. We wanted to create a survey to see why, what are some of the barriers to this? How can we better make this more usable? But there are so many surveys going out right now that are related to IPE. It's a little bit saturated. And so I think what we decided to do is wait and see once all these surveys come back in from the provost and from whoever else is doing surveys, and get that data first. And then if it's not providing us with the answers that we need, we can streamline and get something more targeted to look at and get answers that way. Okay, so let's go ahead and change slides. Okay, so goal 3, that's on hold. We were because we were we just chose not to send out a survey. I was able, we had our College of Allied Health retreat, and they did half of the entire retreat was devoted to IPE for the College of Allied Health, which was really cool. And so we were able to do a survey there after doing some education to ask what barriers were there to utilizing and collaborating. And it completely parallels what the research says for everybody else. It's time, funding, and support. So so we've got to look at creative ways to increase time available, funding, and make sure we're supporting our personnel so that they can do these things. Okay, so the FAS, and Margaret, please step in if you want to say anything else about the FAS. Yeah, Margaret does not want to talk about the FAS, and we're gonna do trauma informed care here and let her sit. No, it is. I mean, it is a system. It's a system that you can take anywhere with you. And yes, it is new, and no one likes to change. No one likes new. People have to learn something different, and it's not, it's not done by Apple, so it's not super intuitive, but it's there and we're utilizing it. And so, and this is a great graph of by college, how many people have gone in and utilized it. So it is moving forward, and thanks for everybody for doing that. Okay. And then the survey went out to 552 users, 81 respondents. And, this was the, breakdown there. And there's definitely room for improvement, but I also feel like I remember how many emails went out and how many opportunities there were for education and for training. And I don't feel like it was utilized because there was no press for people to get it done until it was annual review time. And there was like, holy mackerel. And you've got people with 20 years worth of academia experience, and that takes a long time to put in that system. So I think maybe figuring out a way to reframe it to get people to understand that it's less painful if you give it more time, and don't wait till the last minute and go to the trainings and make it. So I think there's definitely room to grow here in the next year. So next slide, please. Okay, so here are our plans. Continue with the CERT program. It's incredibly successful, and the wellness series is incredibly successful. We had to reschedule our latest one, and I was really sad because it was about receiving feedback, particularly from students, which I think is going to be amazing for all of us to hear and learn from. And then recognition, continuing with team and leadership awards, and of course, continuing to increase engagement in FAS. And then, I personally would love to see the seed grant utilized more often. Next slide. Okay, and so before I give it over to Keith, I do want to say one thing. We had tried to, and I think I missed the slide, but we wanted to get more people talking to their from the IPE team members to their individual colleges about things like the seed grant. And it was very well received last week when we talked about it specifically, because we had, 7 colleges there in the College of Allied Health sitting interdisciplinary around tables. And we were like, here's money. How could you all use it? And so they started thinking about it, and so we just really need to give people maybe some time and space so that they can think about what they want to possibly research and how they could utilize that grant for that. So maybe in the next year we can problem solve. So, and that's all I have today.
Okay, it looks like it's my turn. Do you want me to get started?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Okay. So I changed all my slides with Sarah, Margaret, and we're going to talk about the FAS for like an hour. Okay, just kidding. Our committee charge is you can see it's to develop, maintain, coordinate, and disseminate research and scholarly activity related to the IEP education and or practice on campus. So that's our main focus. And we really want to try to bolster the amount of IRB approved studies that evaluate what we're doing. And we do have a slide later that'll show you some projects that are going on. So what did we do the last year? Well, we updated our research guidance plan. We continued the use of JTOG for the current IP activities. And then like we've tried to do a JTOG workshop to tell people what it is, see that it's available. They can use it for their own things they have going on. And then we've worked with the Unity Clinic student leaders on the strategic research planning. Next slide. So we, with the IPE data, we have a couple of different arms. We have an evaluation arm where we're looking at the process measures for what we're doing, the impact and the outcomes. So we do some of that. The JTOG is good for that. And then we have the research arm, which is looking at the interventions we've developed themselves and the ones that we do internally and ones that may be done externally from our activities on campus. So there's actually a lot of opportunity for evaluation and research. We've just been trying to get the word out in some ways about it so people are more aware of what's possible. And then next slide. So we meet monthly. This month, this is kind of our meeting, so we won't have a meeting this month, but we should be back on track in July. We try to stick to the strategic plan as a guide for what we do. And I know we're going to go over that here in detail in a little bit. We do try to take a look at our Carnegie designation, like where we are as a research institution. And then do we need to look at, one of the things I think a lot of us are concerned about is what is the impact of what we're doing, right? And I think one of the big questions we've had, and we're still kind of trying to figure out how we could do this, and there's probably some ways to do it, is a longitudinal analysis of what we've done in the past. Can we reconnect with past learners? Can we look at what they've done with IEP in their career? How has what we've done in our program influenced them, if it has, which I think it probably has. I know there's other institutions that have done this. It's a lot of work. It's very tedious, but it's a possibility we could explore. Next slide, please. So here's some things that are going on campus in terms of studies that are affiliated with IEP and our committee. Dr. Dennis and Lynn Golson are doing the College of Medicine, College of Pharmacy collaboration. And then we have a student-delivered diabetes education at a low-income clinic for uninsured patients. So this is a QI project, right? So how is the intervention working? Breaking Bad News, which I believe was talked about earlier, is one of the simulations that we do in-house. It looks like Dr. Whisker and Dr. McGuire are doing an interprofessional. Oh, this was the grad student who was doing an extensive research project for his thesis on does IEP activities like kind of shape the professional identity of the people that participate in them? So what is the effect of being exposed to that and then that kind of changing the way you see yourself as a health practitioner? I think some of us come from colleges and backgrounds where IEP is much more ingrained, I think, in what we do. And so there's really an opportunity here for like maybe some colleges that don't necessarily do a lot of that to look at how the activities on campus really could formulate a professional identity centered around team-based care. And we've got Dr. Leckie, Dr. Milhan, and I don't think she's a doctor, but doing something around I'm not sure what the IAO tool is, so I apologize. But we've also done a lot of work with the JTOG and IPASS. So we still kind of use IPASS, but we focus more on JTOG. And you've probably seen that with all the Professions Day, especially. That's something you've probably seen over and over again. We've been trying to use it and, like I said, expose it to people so they know it's available. I have a current grant that I'm going to use it on. So it's an opportunity that's out there. Again, it's like the seed grants. The more we can tell people about these kind of things, these are products we have that are available. That people can utilize to stay connected to us. Next slide, please. This toolkit is really, really useful if you're interested, or I know all of us here sort of preaching to the choir, but if you have colleagues that are starting to wade into the IEP waters and are looking for some sort of guide in terms of what it looks like, what they could potentially set up, this is a really good toolkit. This is available through Margaret's office. So this is there. I think I saved a PDF of this in my files as well. So it is electronic. So please take advantage of it. Please take advantage of these opportunities, these things like the JTOG that we have that we can offer you. Just let us know. You can contact myself, contact Sarah, contact Margaret. So what are the plans for the next year? Well, we have some data we've been looking at that we need to publish. And I've been trying to spearhead that. And I apologize. I've been swamped with a lot of projects this semester. And so that's still there. That's still something we can do. We want to talk more about team debriefing. And again, how is what we're doing affecting people in the long run in their journey on campus, right? There was a life circle diagram analysis from several years ago that was taken on by a colleague in public health who's no longer with the university, but still some very interesting results. Longitudinal evaluation, I think, is a really good opportunity for us. Basically, the other institution that I kind of mentioned earlier, I went to a gerontological conference, and this person was talking about this, and what they did is they hooked up with the alumni office and really just started calling people and seeing if they were willing to participate in a study. So that's a possibility. I know that takes a lot of people time, people power. And Margaret, I know your office has lost a couple of staff members. So maybe this is something we could talk more about moving forward. We still are trying to solidify and make concrete our policy surrounding the research on the activities that we do, and also research on campus that might be cleared through us. I know in the past, Dr. Dennis and Dr. Kraft had talked about us being a clearinghouse for all IEP research on campus. And I think that's still a good idea. It's how do we implement that? And then how do we think about how we can collaborate better moving forward? You saw a few slides back that there's certain colleges, kind of like I mentioned earlier, where it feels like IEP is more of an integral part of the culture of what goes on in those colleges. So allied health, I think, is a really good example. You heard Dr. Milhan before me talking, because I think that particular set of professions really lends itself to team-based care, right? This is a wraparound type of care that needs to happen after maybe the initial intervention in a clinic or hospital setting. But what are some other collaborations we could have? You know, nursing is very active. So how can we better collaborate with nursing, right? Or like pharmacy or dentistry, or even just the graduate college in itself. Medicine, I think we do pretty well with the Unity Clinic, but those students are also very pressed for time. So the ability to find opportunities within a curricular structure is kind of difficult. But we continue to plow forward. We do have a lot going on. If you're interested in joining us, please come to one of our meetings. It tends to be like the fourth Monday of the month. But I believe my spiel is done.